We go ahead and just go into center, and let's just do a little meditation to come together for this moment. Whew. Oh, just taking some nice deep breaths in. And just noticing how quickly our breath brings us into center, and we're being guided and directed to just think of the others in the group, and with your heart, reach out to them wherever they may be, whatever they may be doing, just to connect them energetically within this so that they may receive the blessings that we are here to amplify within our hearts this evening. So allow yourself to fortify your personal space around you, creating your personal God, sovereign, free field around you, which is your 24-dimensional shield. It's your plasma field that radiates at your angelic codes and frequencies, spiraling, moving, flowing around you, creating the sacred space that is continually uplifting you, holding you, nourishing you, supporting you, purifying you, detoxing you, and allowing you to be even more of a channel of communication each and every day to your higher self. So just acknowledging this level of support that we have of understanding this sort of our Galactic science. So understanding our ascension mechanics, our physical body, our energy body, our light body, our mental body, our emotional body. And just feeling the different fields of your body out around you, anchoring around you, protected around you, commanding from your higher self, anything within my field that has entered in through any levels of unconsciousness, I am commanding that it all be flushed out and detoxed out of all of my light body fields immediately and irrevocably. I am commanding my personal space. I am commanding single soul occupancy, and I have the right to this body. I have the right to my energy field, my mental field, and my emotional field. I have the right to command my field at any time, at any moment. That this is my God sovereign right within universal divine law and order. I command this now, and so it is. And from this sovereignty, just breathing down, saying hello to Earth. And Earth is inviting us to really feel her as a light speed kind of spaceship moving through the universe right now. She wants us to really remember that she is spinning at such a high velocity and flying through the cosmos right now. She's not stationary like we might feel her to be. But really, she is moving and traveling with us. She is our spaceship as we move through the universe, as we move closer towards feeling the radiant frequencies of our central galactic core. And that we are in a equinox of enlightenment, of awakening right now, that as she is flying through, that she's really in an orbital field that is moving us at such a close proximity to receiving the God source codes within, and that they are coming to us in sounds, in light, in frequencies, in geometries, and they are just rippling across the universe. And in whatever way you picture it, that it's a sound and a frequency that is coming into you, and feel it dancing on all of your cellular tissues within your body. Feel it dancing within the water inside of you. Feel the water. Allow yourself in this moment to entrain all of the liquid and water inside of you to these codes and frequencies so that they can harmonize now with the God source codes coming to us. Commanding of your higher self, I am ready to sing the song of the universe. I am ready for my heart song to align to the song of the great central sun. I am ready to be a resonant speaker and sound of these frequencies, that all around me may hear the sweet songs, the sweet harmony, and the sweet frequencies that awaken the hearts within all. That we are loved, we are supported, we are part of a universal choir, and this universe sings its praises, its love, its celebration, its joy, its honor, its compassion, continually in many, many frequencies, all through us. And we are commanding in this very moment to be a speaker of this song, emanating now, and so it is. Just for a moment, just open yourself up. Surrender yourself, step outside of yourself, and let your body just be a speaker. If you could just resonate the pure sound tones of the universe, what would that feel like, moving through your core, moving through your chakras, moving through your organs, moving through your skin, moving through your light body? And let that ripple out all through your personal field, all around you. And then amplify that and push it through the structure of the building that you're living in now. Push it through the corners of the room, through the walls, through the floor. Notice that every bit of material in the building that you are is actually light codes, and you are reattuning all of it. Purify all of the fabrics all around you, all of the fields, and just keep letting it ripple out. So those fields go down into the ground under your feet and out into the air all around you. And using your imagination, you can just let those ripples go as far as you want to play with them, and let the sound go. If there are loved ones in your home, let those ripples move through their bodies, their hearts, their systems, and imagine those ripples just clearing them out, harmonizing their body in alignment with their higher self. And with your breath, expanding your physical form. And notice that when you can become a speaker for the heart song of the universe, that you allow your heart song to align with it, that your mind actually goes silent. It goes quiet, because now you're in a state of listening. Feel how good it feels to just listen, to observe, to be mindful. And from this mindfulness, we proclaim our declaration of intention, that we declare from the core of our heart our intention to serve our source, that we align ourselves fully and completely to the heart of the one infinite creator, that we dedicate this life to being our true heart song across all the cosmos, that we surrender our ego now to be in service to the law of one mission, a first cause light as a pillar of light. In the light of truth, we declare and intend, I am that I am. I am a soul sovereign being, and so it is. Just letting that breath continue to move. Just feeling how good it feels to vibrate. And if you want, you can amplify that resonant frequency in you and bring into your imagination a moment where you were at, say, a concert, and the music is moving through you. You feel it moving through you. You amplify yourself. It elevates your mood. It lifts you into dancing, into movement, into emotion, into a whole experience and journey within you. And let the universe, that sound from the universe, be your symphony, be your concert, be that resonance that moves through you at such a level that it feels as though you flow with it. It's as if when you're at a concert, like it takes you, the music picks you up and takes you. And that is just this amazing feeling that it's something bigger than us, something bigger than just what we are doing, that we are part of the symphony, and you are one of the cellular experiences within it, singing your heart song, part of the symphony. And as you allow that to just be a part, I'm going to open this PowerPoint, and I'm just gonna kind of move through it. And as we move through it, allow, just if something comes up, to bring open the chat. But today we're going to explore just kind of a little bit this visualization. It's really a visualization for us today to kind of look at stuff with our own eyes, to see the manifestation of what sound is really doing for us, what sound is actually really doing when it's rippling across physical form, across liquid, across any of these things. And so this is really going to amplify in a lot of ways what we mean when we talk about our heart song. And our heart song, each and every one of us has our own unique heart song. We're not all singing the same heart song. Each and every one of us is singing our own song, our own unique soul frequency. So something to even share with you that has been shared as a beautiful experience. If you get into a lucid dreaming situation, and I do believe this was Robert Wagner that shared this experience that he had, but I forget what he called it. He called it like his soul signature or something like that. But the essence is that it's your own unique sound. And he was in a lucid dream, and he called out to the dream, I want to hear my soul sound. I want to hear my sound. And he said it was such a beautiful experience because it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until everything kind of narrowed down into this singular dot. And really the beautiful experience of it, and you're going to see with some of the cymatics that we're looking at here, even with this image right here, you can see that everything kind of comes to a point, and that within a lot of the practices, even the Buddhist dream yoga and practices, it's about, can you get to that singular dot moment and that spot? That's really your sound. That's your original sound tone and your original frequency that you emanated when you were birthed from the heart of the universe. That each and every one of us has been on kind of a journey, that there was a desire that we had to be in this experience. And to be in this experience, we stepped ourselves down from the high God source realm. So from the dimensions 13, 14, and 15, we actually came from basically the 16th, if you will, from the great central sun, and through a desire came down. So we've talked a lot about the step down process. It's light and sound. Those are the original sound tone frequencies. And some of that was in the newsletter that I shared for this particular presentation, was that it's the original tri-founder waves, so the original light frequencies and the original 7 tones of creation that are creating all of the morphogenetic fields in it. And from that, our heart song has come out in order to be in an expression and an experience. Now with that vibration, that is where we are at our highest dimensional frequencies within this universe. But we've continued to step ourselves down, and guess what? We chose to step all the way down into the 3rd dimension. So we're experiencing the 3rd dimension, the 2nd dimension, and the 1st dimension all simultaneously, but we're in the step back process. The process is to be here, but then guess what? We don't want to stay here, but now we come here because it's an experience, and then we keep waking ourselves back up, because innately the soul always wants to return back home. So regardless of the fact that we wanted to come out and experience it, our desire is always to return back home. And I will share with you guys a particular understanding as far as planet Earth goes, that when the original human forms were created, the issue is that the soul wouldn't stay in the body, because the soul naturally doesn't want to be bound to the material. Our soul naturally doesn't want to be stuck to these physical forms, so it would keep floating back out. And so in order for us to even be here and anchor in here, we actually have a crystal that is mimicking the divine source of creation. So it's anchoring the God source code here on the planet. There's like a core crystal that our soul has kind of surrogately attached to, as far as allowing it to even have an experience here in physical form, and allowed us. But that was kind of in the beginning. And then as density started to kind of come in, so the more lower emotional vibrations, fear came into the picture, any of the shadow, any of the karma and the debt that started to get imposed on that, all of that created kind of layers of density and heaviness that now it's virtually a chore to try to get back out of our body, right? Before, the soul didn't want to stay in the body. Now there's just so much density that it's hard to actually, that's a lot of the work we do, is to clear the shadow work in order for our soul to be able to begin that transition out again. So as you can see, this is just a beautiful image of some of the different patterns that get created when sound starts to resonate at different frequencies. And you can see on the bottom level, it really plays with our DNA. And I'm gonna, towards the end of the presentation, show you how this is our wave of what we're going to call our future of healing modalities. But I'm going to say that this is us just reverting back to universal healing techniques. So when you tap into your, say, your higher self or other planetary systems, this is naturally the way that they do healing work anyways. And we're going to actually be reverting back to the healing modalities of the higher dimensional or the advanced races. So when frequency begins to hit something, so I want you to imagine that all of creation, all of the universe is like a huge light field, right? And this light field, as it steps down, is turning into plasma light. So plasma, I want you just to think of it a little bit kind of like water, and the original sound tones are coming out. And as those sound tones hit the plasma, it creates what it's starting to do is create morphogenetic fields. And in light, I just want to just briefly touch on this again, because we've talked about this many times, but it's just the binding of different patterns and structures, which is what is sacred geometry. This is what we're going to call light language. And this, as if you look right here, these are the building blocks. So you get the platonic solids start to come into it. And as those start to connect in different ways, you're looking at sacred geometry that is connecting in different nets, in different waves. And this is the grids that we're working with. And as these grids connect with other grids, so think of a symphony. I want you to think of a symphony, and there's one note. But when you get an entire symphony together, there's many, many notes going, and now there's a whole song being played. And this is how different structures get created. This is how our heart looks different than our liver. And our skin and our fingers grow in particular ways. So this is why a plant grows different than we do. And just that's on our physical realm, but this is happening through the entire universe. I also want to show that this really works within the I Ching. So the structures in here, when we talk about human design and the gene keys and how our DNA is changing by the way that we're restructuring our belief systems within us, this is all happening simultaneously within us, just by starting to change our heart song, or actually, I'm not going to say we're changing our heart song. What I'm really going to say is that we're being brave enough to start actually singing our true heart song. So most of us, I'm going to say all of us, in the beginning of our life have been singing the belief systems and the programming of this planet, and been too afraid to be our heart song. And most of us didn't even know our heart song. And the more and more we clear all of that, the more we begin to resonate at the true frequencies that we are. And we are emanating constant patterns that are very mathematical, as different structures, as different geometries, as different light codes that are emanating out around us. All of these are just patterns that are moving. So I do want to bring in a little bit of human design. When you look at your human design chart in the future, notice what kind of circuitry do you have? Are you more collective? Are you more individual? Or are you more tribal? Because now, noticing your heart song and how you are, you came into a physical body set with particular structures, right? So the I Ching, the gene codes that you have within your body, those 64 numbers on there, were part of your song and your symphony that you chose to come and sing to the planet. And within this, you have circuitry. And your circuitry is how, so circuitry in human design is how we interrelate with each other. This is how we connect with each other. Think of a circuit. This is a line of communication. So how my circuitry is when I communicate with you, and how your circuitry is, it's how we're going to connect. It's how we're going to relate with each other. It's how we're going to share ideas. It's how we're going to inspire each other. It's how we're going to go into the world and actually have influence with our heart song. And so just knowing that on different levels, some of us have more tribal, which is about holding ground and holding things and holding structure. And so it's got that energy to us. Some of us have circuitry that's about being individual and unique and moving things in a new direction. And some of us have a collective circuit, which is more about holding a ground for the entirety, the whole, about how the whole collective can move. And we all have different blends of all of those. And as our songs blend together, so when we hang out with each other, we get to sing new songs with each other that activate different circuits within us so that we can actually sing different tracks with each other. We can actually create different things with each person that we hang out with. And so this is the uniqueness. We're not stagnant. And I want to just share these things so that there's a slight understanding in our background. We learn this ascension mechanics. We learn all of this Galactic science, the science of our soul, just so it's in the background, we know it. But to try to hold it in the forefront of our mind while we're walking through a grocery store is nearly impossible. So the thing is that when we understand who we are, this is all just about knowing who we are, so that as we go places, we can feel if we feel other people's energy. And now it's not being triggered. Now it's just feeling other people's energy and acknowledging it as someone else's energy, because we start to truly know who we are. There's so many cycles. There's the astrological cycles. There's all the cycles of our gates and our circuitry when we connect with each other. There's all of these different things that are playing and having an influence on us that are really just like all these clocks turning and all of these like math. Again, it's very mathematical and very like you could go in and like map it all out. So it's fun to know about it, to have that understanding, so that when we feel the intensity of the energy around, we can completely go like, oh, okay, now's my moment to sit back a little bit. Now I should maybe go introspective and stay away, or just do some internal work. Oh, now I'm feeling the energy is more better for going and doing some group work together, or that this is more supportive for me to actually go do some land clearing, or go actually maybe teach some kids some amazing techniques and things like that. So we start to follow the rhythms and the patterns. And the thing is we learn all of this so that we know it, but guess what? We really learn it to know it so that we feel it, and then we don't have to think about the knowing. We just live it as an experience inside of us. So just a reminder that within human design, the circuitry within your chart, there's only 3 channels that are called manifesting channels, which means go and do it. There's only 3 out of 36 channels. The majority of them, 22 of them, are called projected channels. So projector channels, which means that even if you are a manifester or have the channels to go ahead and do, that we are still inherently meant to either respond to our world around us, or more importantly, wait for the invitation. That no matter what type we are, at some deep level, we are really, truly, inherently in a projector energy on this planet, which means that when we start to sit back, let life start to happen for us, stop pushing and trying to like go for the agenda, do our to-do list. You know, that's so the past right now. Right now we're breaking free. We're being the groundbreakers for the beautiful children on our planet, that you don't have to have this life plan agenda of like, okay, I got to go to school, and then I got to go to college, and then I got to get that degree, and then, oh man, I need to go get in debt with a house, and get in debt with a car, and get in debt with a boat, and get in debt with a vacation and 5 kids and all of this crap, right? No, we're changing that right now into a heart-based, complete, go with your feelings, what is correct for you. And guess what? There's so much abundance in the universe that there is no lack. The lack is all in our mentality. And this is what we're going to play with today, is how to start pulling that. Because the truth is that projectors have an ability to have all the abundance and all of the invitations magnetically come right to them. So when we start to learn to kind of live within that energy, the projector energy is also about having a wisdom. So I just want to share that with you guys, that it's such a beautiful thing to know that no matter what our type is, inherently within us, within our design, within our circuitries, with how we interrelate with each other and communicate with each other, there's still a level of not pushing, but rather waiting for invitations and then feeling if they are correct for you. And this is the amazing thing that I am so excited to really be sharing with all of our children on the planet, that you don't have to do things that are not correct for you. And it may take a little while for this to anchor into the 3D looking reality around us, but we're seeing it. We're doing it. We're feeling it around us. No matter what, a lot of the chaos that we're seeing around us right now, and people kind of having an explosion of energy on the planet right now, is really just what I like to call a revolution. And a revolution, this is when the change happens, right? And there's a soul revolution happening right now. And we get to start to kind of understand the ascension mechanics, our soul mechanics, and what's really happening, so that we can flow with it. And as we flow with it, this is just such a beautiful, I wanted to give this image because it shows that black dot right in the middle, that we get to kind of the core of our sound and that 0 point field within every vibration that we are. I want you just for a moment, if you notice this image, it's just a beautiful image of a sound wave being pulsed, and then they were able to capture it on film. And if you see this, imagining this within the water of your cells, the sacred geometry that's flowing inside of you. And when we become super aware of it, we get to understand that when we are having resonant frequencies of fear, of shame, of guilt, all of those lower vibrations, we talk about power versus force. You can look at that list, anything below 200. Any of those are starting to create the distortions within the sacred geometry. They start to look broken or sharded and lack communication. So any place geometry is not in sacred proportions, that is where dis-ease happens. That is where health starts to deteriorate, and that is where it goes from living light to dead energy. So that's just a great reminder of that. And I highly recommend, if you ever need just a fun reminder, looking at Emoto's work with the thought and energy that was pulsed on water, just as a reminder. All of that is just stuff to just remind us, because most of this stuff is happening on a micro level. So it's stuff you can't see because it's cellular. But when we start to get that image in our mind of like, oh my gosh, that's what's happening, it gives us a whole new opportunity to actually really use that power of that visualization when you go into your meditations and get to see what you're working with. So let's start playing with some techniques that we can start to use to amplify how we manifest in our reality, how we do energy healing, and how we can clear and move things that are not correct for us in our environment. So I want to just kind of bring us back into that idea of mindfulness. And within the idea of mindfulness, what happens is we start to observe our inner scape, our inner self. So there's something you could do where you could just sit still for a while and just go quiet and just watch all of the commotion and the energy and the chatter inside of you. There's moments where you can kind of feel the head center and the ajna center and all of those gates kind of really active in there in your body. And sometimes you'll feel it even as electrical impulses or nervous energy of like, okay, I don't want to sit here. I got to get up. I got things to do. Oh, I can't sit here. Like, oh, I better go fold laundry, or I better go make sure that this email is sent on my computer. And so sometimes even just the whole idea of just sitting and just watching, we start to get an idea of how many radio stations are running through you right now. Because remember, you're like a radio receiver. And if we don't know what channels are moving through us because we're so busy and it's just a background noise inside of us, how do you know why you're making the decisions that you're making? How do you know that you're eating because you're actually hungry? Or how do you know that you chose the type of car you chose because that's the car you wanted, not because subconsciously you maybe heard 5 other people say that that was the best car, or you watched a commercial about it, right? So there's a whole level of really starting to observe ourselves. What is happening inside our thoughts? What is happening inside of our mind? That we need to take the real estate back right inside of us and be that mindful observer. So I want to present the idea too, is that when we talk about the void going into the 0 point field, a lot of times we talk about it as 0 point, like it's void, it's nothing. But the truth is it's really this empty space that's pregnant with possibility. I'd like to just present the idea that it's a field of infinite possibilities. Yet it's a void. None of it is manifest, but yet everything is potential. And when you have a thought, the thought is what actually moves into that space and starts to pulse into creation. So as a thinker and the thoughts that are moving through us, we're always pulsing stuff through that field, but we're not really mindful of what it is. And so when we start to get to understand that our thoughts are continuously planting seeds into this pregnant field of infinite possibilities, this is how we are creating our reality. This is how we are pulsing those frequencies. So I'm going to tie in a moment how your thoughts are actually rippling frequencies. They're like electromagnetic frequencies that are moving out and pulsing out into the field and starting to create the geometries and the morphogenetic fields that step down and come into our reality. Just a reminder, we talked quite a while back about how it's possible to see cancer in the field, in the energetic field, before it actually comes into the physical body. So I do believe this was within the episode that we talked about water and sacred water and how to work with water, but it was I went into in depth about a scientist who was actually able to actually see within the field the resonance of dis-ease that eventually was able to see over time that if that wasn't shifted, it did manifest in the physical reality. So we truly are inside like a Russian doll, all of our other light bodies, all of our larger avatar God bodies. So here we are in physical manifest form, but our thoughts are projecting out, and our thoughts are not actually in our body. Our thoughts are being held within our mental body and tied in with our emotional body. And all of these are creating clouds of energy around our field. So we're walking around and you can feel it. I know you can feel it when you walk next to somebody and they got a bunch of crap in their field, or and they're just like, oh, little bugs all over it, right? And it's like, oh, that person's like needs to clear their energy. Well, that's what we are. This is where we talk about really being mindful of our energy and our space around us. Like, how clean are we keeping our energetic houses? So our mind is part of that. All of that steps down into this reality, and the whole energy behind why I'm sharing this again is to tie in how powerful our thoughts are, because they are reverberating within our mental body, our emotional body, and completely creating the morphogenetic structures and fields that are creating our future reality. So think of the morphogenetic fields as kind of in this timeline that as we speak things now, as we think things now, these are the realities that we will be living in tomorrow, potentially. So now, whose thoughts are they? This is where we've been doing all of this deep, deep work, is whose thoughts are in our head? Whose thoughts are we thinking? We've learned that the majority of them came from our parents, the religion, the country we were born in, our ancestral belief systems, any of the political structures, all of these different places where all of these beliefs came from. And we've learned that in the beginning, 99% of them, not even ours. And we're sitting here completely draining out as much as possible. Whose thoughts are they? Are they mine, or are they someone else's? Now, here's what I really want you guys to start getting super specific on, because I want us to start playing with some super specific stuff. A lot of times we're just super general. And I want to give an example here. A lot of times we're just super general with stuff. We might be in a relationship that we don't feel is correct for us. And so we just yell out to the universe or send out with our intention something super general like this. Like, I want to be free from anything limiting me or holding me back. And I want you to feel how broad that is. It's like this, first of all, we're wanting something based on getting away from something. So we've talked about how a lot of times the stuff we manifest in our life is from negative reinforcement. It means that there's something in our reality that we don't want. So we manifest based on what we don't want in reality, and base what we do want off of what we don't want. Sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? When in truth, if we could completely empty ourselves as a God creator being, we would be creating solely on only that which our heart song wanted to sing. We would be only singing songs that our heart wanted to sing. We would only be manifesting in our reality ideas of things we want. We would speak into creation what we do want with no strings attached. So just kind of to play with that idea. Now come back to this blanket statement that someone might say, higher self, I want to be free from anything that limits me or holds me back. And they might be in a relationship saying this, but guess what? Higher self says, oh, Well, you've gotten yourself into an awful lot of debt because you're tied to material things. So let's get rid of that because that's holding you back. And oh, that job is not right for you. And it's keeping you from the path I've been trying to get you to be on. So let's get rid of that. And guess what? The one thing you were thinking, which is your partner in the relationship, they're like, oh yeah, no, that's fine. And you're like, ah. So guess what? It's really important to be super specific with how we manifest within this reality, because in truth, it's actually awesome. You can just leave it super broad, but here's the thing, then don't get mad at your higher self. Every single thing that comes into reality, if you make a blanket statement like that, I want to be free from anything limiting me and holding me back, and you go to work the next day and your boss fires you, guess what? You got to say thank you, higher self. That's actually something we're supposed to thank our higher self. Oh my gosh, like, thank you for bringing this into my reality. Like, I asked for it. This isn't what I had in mind, but it's a level of trusting. So if you're going super broad in general, it's an amazing practice to do, but it's an entire practice of fully surrendering yourself to go with the flow with however your higher self and your soul is leading you. Now, at the same time, here's something really amazing, because that works. But at the same time, that's also not really directing to detail, right? So here's where we start to get to go like, who am I? What do I truly want to create? What do I truly choose to actually participate and be a part of in this reality? And this is where we start to ask, why are we wanting what we are wanting? Whenever we buy a particular outfit of clothing, why would we choose that outfit? Usually there's an emotional connection. Usually there's a few different reasons why we pick certain things. Sometimes it's functional, but sometimes it has an emotional connection to it. Why do we pick a particular house that we have? Why do we feel indebted to do certain things that we do? Why do we buy the certain brand of car that we buy? Why do we like tie ourselves to sometimes really big things? I want to just present to the idea of just certain things that we commit to are actually putting our energy within it for a long amount of time. And I'm just going to use material things to make an example, but this could be anything from relationships. This could be anything from getting pregnant and having a child. And most pregnancies that happen on this planet are, oh, I guess we're pregnant. I guess we're going to have a baby, right? And now there's this whole energy around it, but that's years of investment in heart and commitment within it, right? You want to go buy a vehicle. Most people get a loan for that. Now you are committing. You have just created a relationship with that. A house, you've created a relationship with that. A job, you've created a relationship with that. Everything's a relationship. And when we start to think about it, when we agree to these relationships, why do we agree, or why are we wanting what we are wanting in our life? And it is so powerful. And one of you brought up something that I was like, yes, spot on. The whole idea is that when we think of the things that are in our life, I want you to imagine losing all of it. So the example of a partner coming and saying, I don't want to be with you anymore, or the idea of losing your home, or the idea of losing your job, or the idea of any of it. Like, if it wasn't in your life, here's the beauty in it. Your job is to notice, what are you afraid of? Notice what panic comes up inside of you. Notice what fear might come up inside of you. Notice that. And I also want you to notice if it feels like liberation. There could be a flip side in there, but I really want you to pay attention. This is a really, really powerful practice to do. Is if you are in a situation where you have to make a major decision, maybe it's a breakup in a relationship, maybe it's like going through a divorce, or maybe it's like the idea of like this house, I'm underwater, like, you know, I owe more on the mortgage on it than it'll ever be worth in my whole entire life. And I'm indebted to this. What would happen if I lost it? I will tell you, foreclosure is one of like the biggest stigma things that people really panic about. And so here's the thing. I want you to just imagine if the worst case scenario happened now. What comes up inside of you? Your job is to go back up to that step number 1, mindfulness and observing your inner scape. What thoughts are happening in your mind and what emotions are moving through your body, because all that is giving you just through that imaginary scape is exactly what limiting beliefs you're still holding inside of you, what lower resonant frequencies are actually playing at a low grade right inside of you that are playing in your heart song, playing in your frequency, pushing it out in your cellular tissues. So this is the latent stuff that's creating like the really slow, low grade dis-ease in our body that we keep so busy that we don't notice it. But you take a minute and you look at it and then you ask yourself, what would be the scariest thing if I did take that leap and that happened? And just sit with it. And we're going to go through a process here. And I really want to show you an amazing process for clearing that kind of energy right out of there. Because again, everything we speak, every sound that goes out of us, every thought that we have, this is creating frequencies in the planet, and it is actually becoming our physical reality, our reality that we experience in this life. So this is actually just kind of how some of the sound frequencies and of different notes actually play on our chakra systems, and that's why sound bowls are really amazing. Actually seems like this picture would have been best served a little later in the presentation. This is some cymatics, so sound playing on soundboards and moving sound. So I want to play with you a little bit on this practice. So this is a technique I want to share with you that is incredible. I'm going to give you a very personal example of how I have used it, just to give you something to kind of give you an example with that'll give you a better visualization for it. The whole idea of imagining something scary that could potentially happen within your reality and just saying, what's the worst thing that could happen? What's the most scary thing that could happen for me if this happened? So just remember that question. What's the scariest thing that could happen? What's the scariest thing that would happen for me if this happened? And just be with yourself and watch yourself. Now, I'm going to give you a real-time example of how to, what I call, watch a trigger event. So we go through our life and stuff happens. Somebody says something to us, somebody does something, we have a thought or a mind slide in our mind and we get a feeling, right? Or there's just a low grade resonance of anxiety or something that we're feeling. So here's what I want to share with you. My example I'm going to give you is I had a moment where I couldn't sit still. I could not sit still. I had just something moving energetically through my body that it was creating kind of like I didn't want to sit still. And I really played with it. I let myself kind of go into it. And I realized it was this whole feeling of being completely in a quiet house and all alone. And I was like, okay, that's very odd, because I normally really, enjoy that kind of space. But for some reason, it was just showing me something. So I sat with the feeling and I kept sitting with it. And here's the thing, when you grab the feeling, what I want you to do is just notice, where do you feel it in your body? And I'm sitting there going like, I'm noticing it kind of in my solar plexus and in my belly. So the first thing, feel it in your body. And as you feel it in the body, what I want you to do is begin to regress yourself to the original time you ever felt the feeling, or imagine, sense, or feel, even if you have to pretend, what does the body feel like of the original time that you ever felt this? And it gets a little quicker for you, but I immediately felt myself as probably about 3 years old. And in that moment, I felt an absolute panic of my mom leaving. That it was this energy where I all I could feel is that I just wanted to hold her like she had been gone for a while, and I just needed to hold her like don't leave, like it was a sense of security or something that had left. So here's the thing. This feeling comes up with me in current time. I go into my body. I feel it in my stomach. I feel it in my solar plexus. It makes no sense. It's this anxiety. I don't feel safe. I don't feel secure. I don't feel like I have a grounding or a security or a safe place to be. Immediately I regress myself. It's about 3 years old. I feel the 3-year-old clinging on the mother, like don't leave. Immediately I get all of the memory of that she had gone away and I had gotten left with some other people to take care of me. And so I felt the sense of abandonment or uncertainty or fear of being in a new or a different place. All of that is just super quick and it comes in. Now, here's where we do the work. What I want you to do is when you get to that place, you become the observer. And all you're doing is watching that younger you or that other life you. So if it goes to another life, another experience, don't judge. Wherever it goes, it goes. Watch that other you in that experience. And here's what I did. From my current consciousness, I stepped into the body of the child and I let myself feel every resonant frequency that that little body was feeling. And I could feel the anxiety and the panic in that child and the uncertainty that she had. And as I sat within that body, I sat and I used my current mind consciousness as a neutral observer to just start breathing it out. That's it. Just start observing the energy that was in the body. And there's that part of the mind, because we did all the healing the mother wound and healing the father wound, that we know it makes sense that the child would have made that decision and felt unsafe. But now it's safe for my body to let this go. It made sense that at that age, I would have hung on to it. But now it's time for the body to let it go. And all you're doing is observing it, breathing with it, imagining yourself in that other body, feeling it. So you're timeline jumping. You're literally timeline jumping into another holographic field, into that form, and doing the energy work and moving it out of the body. And so I sat with that until all of the energy in that body calmed down. And I could feel her let go and completely just be fine. And then what I did is completely collapse the timeline, in the sense, kind of wrap it in a bubble, and I hand it to my higher self as I am complete with this now. And then we hand it off. So this is a very, very powerful technique for you to be able to catch frequencies and songs that are still playing in your frequencies, and to catch them, catch the timeline trigger event. This is the same thing you would do if you had a future trigger event. And what I mean by future trigger event, we all know this because we've all done this. Something almost happens. And then the mind starts playing a mind slide of, oh my gosh, what if that would have happened? What if the car would have hit me? What if the snake would have bit me? What if, I would have gotten lost, whatever. And it starts playing a future scenario. Now, what I want you to do, it's the same thing. You go into it and you say, what's the worst thing that would have happened? And you sit and you get to actually go into the energy of it and you collapse it, because what you're doing is you're completely taking all of the power out of it, saying, this is not real. This is not real. My body is safe. The truth is, my body is safe. I drain all of this out of me now. And then here's what I want to add for you guys on this one. If it's a future mind slide that's coming in, command that any mind slides that are not truth, that are holographic replays, I command that they be deleted and dissolved from my field now. I command they be deleted and dissolved from my field now. So imagine if we could start teaching kids how to do this, because within this, how many times do kids get scared or worried about things, right? Worried about things that are going to come. And we're going to be so good at working with these things, clearing them out of our life, that we're going to be able to start to really share them with our children so that they can really have the freedom from not having to play these songs that don't belong to them. So that is one particular technique. And I must have skipped through the slide. I had another slide that said creating sacred space, but I'm going to just use this image, and I want to just share with you guys a couple of other techniques for getting to move energy within your field, and also how to start to get a lot more specific. So for each and every one of you, what I'm going to invite you to do is to pick one thing and make it something that's quantifiable, which means that you're able to verify or notice when it comes into your reality or when it shifts within your reality. And I want you to be super specific with it. So I'm going to give you a really cool example, because this is something that just happened within the last day. A huge celebration for watching one of the kids do something. But one of the kids wanted to get a new car. And she literally said she sat in bed and envisioned the exact color of it, the exact sides of it. She went in detail and just felt it with her mind, drove it in her mind, imagined it just being available to her in her mind, in the price range in her mind, and all of these things. And literally the next day she went out, and a friend of hers drove up in this car and said, yeah, I'm selling it. I just bought another car. And she just bought that car today. So we're talking hours. Like, it was just like it walked right out of her visualization and into her dream. So, and into her reality, sorry. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to pick one thing, and I want you to pick something that doesn't have a lot of weight or energy to it, not something that's like, this needs to change or else, because we want to start with something that feels light and flowy and easy for you. It could be a vacation. It could be a particular place that you want to go. It could be a particular experience that you want to have, or a particular kind of energy that you want to have an exchange with somebody. So find something that's really fun, amazing, wonderful for you. Maybe it's like you want to manifest a trip with just one of your grandkids, so you have one-on-one time. Or maybe you want to imagine, you know, a very relaxing day where you get a day off so that you can like soak in the bath and you can just really enjoy yourself. Pick something that's going to bring you joy, happiness, bliss. And this is something I want you to write down and get super specific about, so that you can play with some of these techniques in a very positive way, because they're the exact same techniques that we use when we do energy healing, when we are actually clearing things out of people's fields or moving things that we quote unquote don't want. But the truth is we can't ever make anything wrong. So the neutral, compassionate witness is key for all of this. So what I have in these images here is really some ways to start to visualize, maybe putting energy balls within your hand, being able to hold within you a visual of a morphogenetic field that you're moving with. So we're going to play with some ideas of how you actually can use your hands and use your physical space around you to visualize and move things. And also, by being able to see people's body kind of on a morphogenetic level, then you will be able to move new holographic images of healthy organs, healthy vitality, health, and all of those kind of things within the field. So the number one thing is, this is your opportunity to start to ask yourself, what do I want to create in my life? What do I want my life to look like? If my entire life erased today, what would I do? What would I choose to be? What would I choose to create? Who knows? You might go like, I would choose to totally sell everything and live in like a motorhome and go travel the United States. Who knows? The whole thing is you got to figure out what's correct for you. And this is the opportunity to pick one thing. Now, you're also observing whose other thoughts are in your mind so you can clear those. I want you to pick a very special place to set the intention to do this. So you're going to create sacred space. I love these little votive candles. They are amazing. I'm going to present the idea to you that in just about every practice, as a group, we've been creating sacred vortexes, sacred circles. The circle is a powerful energy vortex to do any kind of sacred work. So you can create your energy field around you visually, or you can actually create and map out around you a full circle so that you are in a sacred space. You can call upon your higher self to help anchor that space, to protect that space and amplify that space so that all of your intentions be completely pulled into manifest physical form within divine right order. So I really like to add that because everything we're manifesting and intending, we want to also have a level of understanding that we really truly only have the right to move energy for us. If other people are part of the manifestation, we have to hold a level of their sovereignty within the choices that they choose to make within it. So it kind of allows you to realize that you can create your reality, but you're also honoring the reality of others. But on the flip side, your manifestations, if they are in alignment with their higher self, many times will create the movement that they need in their life for it to start to actually change whole other landscapes of other people. So don't discount that you could do energy work for others. Just have that sovereign intention of respect for other people's sovereignty, that they have the right to their own field. So the important thing is I want you to create a sacred space. Create a sacred space, light some candles. If you want to have your sage, if you want to have sound bowls, if you want to have anything that is particular or right to you. But the number one thing is I want you to start getting into a mind frame of creating an actual sacred space around you where your awareness moves out beyond just your head or your body. You are commanding a larger space around you and amplifying it. So build your 24-dimensional shield, really amplify that frequency in there and really connect it with your heart. I will invite you, and I'll put the link in here again, to watch the video on working with water for healing, because there is an entire practice in there that I talked about breathing in. We do the infinity breath, and you bring all of your awareness into your pineal gland, and then you drop into your heart. Your heart is the magnet. Your heart is what pulls into your reality, right? But your mind, your pineal gland, your inner eye is your electrical field. It's like that electrical that matches with the magnetic. So it's the electrical that puts the intention into that field of infinite possibilities. And then your heart pulls it in. It's the magnet that pulls it in. So you hold the intention, you build the vibration, and your heart locks it into place. So just kind of have that visualization for you as we go through these steps. So I want you to imagine setting your sacred space, set a sacred circle, create your field around you, put your sacred items in there, the things that create an energy resonance for you, that lift your vibration. And then go into the 0 point in the mind. And as you breathe, become fully aware of your pineal gland, drop into your heart. And from your heart, because it's linked with your pineal gland, now you have your intention, the thing that you're creating. And I want you to imagine it. And if you want, play with the idea of creating an energy ball. So just like the picture, create an energy ball, and within it, I want you to picture exactly what you're creating. And you can actually take that energy ball and you can actually put it on an imaginary timeline. And you can put it here. And then you can imagine over here, maybe on your left, anything and everything that may be in the way, that you're intending that it go into this sphere, and that you're commanding that all of this be gone now. And you hand it off to your higher self. So you clear all of that out of the timeline, and then you bring what you do want and you anchor it into your now. And the whole process is about seeing it with such an intensity. And this again, when we get this to the core, how fun is this going to be to teach this to the kids to play with this, right? So we want to build the feeling. What is it that you want? What would it feel like to be on a road trip? What would it feel like to be free from anything holding you back? What would it feel like to just go wherever your heart leads you and get to see the beautiful nature and the wonder around you? If it was this whole dream of going for, you know, a 3-month adventure in a mobile home across the United States to see every national park or something, right? And how free would it be to be able to go and to travel and to have nothing tying you down and everything completely taken care of? And just imagining all of that feeling. Now, here is the key. You're holding this intention so strongly that there is no room for doubt. There is no room for I'll try, and there is no room for what ifs or but what about. So anything that comes in to negate all of this, I want you just to imagine that you could either create a vortex that keeps vacuuming it out, or put it in a sphere that you get to just shoot off through your core, handing it off to your higher self. Your higher self basically takes it and reparticleizes it into neutral energy, right? It just completely dissolves it into nothing. So what we're doing is you're holding the intent so strongly, and your job is to hold it so strongly to the point where that is all it is. You are living it, you are being it, you are feeling it, you are loving it, and you are owning it. And you are going to just bring that into your reality in the now until that is all you sense and feel within the 0 point field. And as you hold it within the 0 point field, there's going to be a moment where you're just going to kind of bring it in through your heart and shoot it out through the crown of your head. And you're just going to be like, so it is now. And you just let it go. And your job is to completely let go of every thought of it. Just completely let it go. Forget about it. Forget that you did it. Forget that you did anything. Just completely come back into your sacred space. Let it go. Don't think about it. Don't put any energy on it. You've already planted it, and let it go. And now just come back into your space. If you want to just do some amazing breathing, some sound bowls, some energy work, just some whatever, but nothing to do with whatever you just did. You just set that into place. And when you're done, just give thanks to the higher self for holding your sacred space. And then you just close your sacred space, just like we close our sacred circle many times, with so much gratitude to our higher self and for all of our higher dimensional beings that have been holding sacred space for us. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. As you bring the sacred circle to a close, and so it is. And you just let it just kind of dissolve. And here's the thing, you're holding that vibration within you now. And you are singing that song out to the universe, and that is rippling from all of your morphogenetic fields. And your job is to not think about it, but to be extremely aware when it comes into your reality. This is partially how we can work with timelines, how we can actually pull tragic events off of timelines. This is how we can actually do morphogenetic body healing, how we can actually visualize someone that we may be working on, whether they're right in front of us, or we can do a hologram of them within like a morphogenetic field, and then imagine the stuff that we want to heal within them and begin to move it and begin to clear it and begin to just energetically flush them with their highest healing energy and all of these amazing things we do, right? Or take, say, for instance, this particular friend has issues with maybe circulation in their body. So you basically scan through the holograms and you pull in from the infinite field, from the 0 point field, the most healthy, beautiful, vibrant circulatory system form ever. And that's all you see of them. And you come and you put it right over this hologram. And what you do, you're basically swapping places. And so now the truth and the reality is their new healthy self. And this one goes away. You don't see it anymore. It is what it is now. You see it as automatically changed, and your job is to never go back to seeing it the way it was before. I will tell you, there are times doing energy healing, it doesn't go away all the way the first time. So your job is not to sit and let doubt come in and go like, oh, it didn't work. Oh my goodness, because things are shifting and changing. It might take 2 or 3 times to do it until we get to a particular level. There are certain things that it works better with a group of people that are doing it, who are all holding this energy. But just know that the more and more you start to play with this on a small level, quantifiable things, little things, like I want to manifest, you know, an ice cream dinner party at my house, and all of a sudden your partner comes home with ice cream and you didn't even say anything to them. And then you immediately have to acknowledge to the universe and to the higher self, thank you so much. I do manifest my reality. And that is such a powerful key. As soon as it happens, acknowledge it, thank it, and love it. Yes, I do manifest my reality, and this feels so good. So I'm going to just kind of stop with that for this moment, and I'm going to go ahead and stop the share on here. And now I actually want to share with you guys a couple of other options and things that are out there. So now that we know about frequencies, there's technology that has been available to us that is starting to come back into play. So I do find it to be very, very interesting that a lot of the technology, so a lot of the stuff that Nikola Tesla was bringing forward for us is actually starting to come back into our kind of our access and awareness of knowledge again. And so there are different things I want to share as far as working with different frequencies. And one of them you may have heard of before is the Rife frequencies. Now, just to share with you, Rife frequencies are working with light. They are light frequencies, and they work at a really high resonant level. They actually work with photons, and these photons are working between 8,000 and I think about 16,000 megahertz of light. And so this was actually a healing modality that was eradicating cancer out of people's body. It works on such a minute level within the cellular system, and what it does is it hits it with such a frequency. Imagine a singer that sings at a crystal glass at the right pitch and tone, and it shatters. So that I will let you know that a lot of this technology and stuff and a lot of these brilliant souls that brought this energy to us were devastated. So a lot of this technology was being used in the 1920s. And guess when the FDA was created? Anyone want to guess on this? It's 1925. And in 1925, guess who started to go to jail? And guess what started to get destroyed and thrown away? Is all of these cool frequency devices. There was actually devices that were called more like direct microcurrents, so a little bit different than the Rife machine. These worked with electrons. These worked with a more of a sound frequency, and they work with lower hertz in the body. And these hertz actually, when they are at particular vibrations, they resonate with different things, like say scar tissue, muscular pain, nerve endings, all of these things. And so different doctors and chiropractors would be using these machines with tremendous results. But guess what? Can you make money off of them? Absolutely not, because it's free energy healing. So I'm telling you guys this because this is not new. We have used this in our recent history, But this is not even new then. This is the technology of the advanced races. When we connect with the advanced races, this is what we're talking about, of working with going into the crystal healing temples and working with the light frequencies when we go in and they heal our bodies on these different planes. We are getting light therapy. We are getting sound therapy. We are getting crystal therapy healing, because crystals are amplifiers. So also to understand that the direct energy waves move through scalar waves. These are the longitudinal waves that help to carry energy infinitely. And so they never lose energy. They have infinite power. This is all of the stuff that, again, Nikola Tesla was the most recent person that was trying to bring a lot of this, but this is a lot of the Venusian kind of assistance that was helping to reinstate a lot of this information on our planet, because we've had a lot of advanced technology in the last civilizations in this planet thousands and thousands of years ago. We'll find it in all sorts of places that we had this. So I want to play with you guys with the idea of starting to expand your idea that when you are doing energy healing, play with the frequency of sound. Sometimes it's even imagining it, that it's hitting somebody at a certain point. So you don't even have to do it with your vocal cords. You could imagine it into a person, but also to know that I want to build this level of understanding so that each and every one of you can start to put more of this into the consciousness field, so that more and more people become aware that we have healing modalities available to us on this planet that are actually kind of amplifying the abilities of, saying, doing crystal bowl healing therapy. Because I know each and every one of you, have you done like the crystal bowl healing? It feels amazing. It feels so good to feel the vibrations move through. It balances chakras, it balances energy systems, it clears. There's the tuning forks, which is super, super powerful. There's light therapy which is incredibly powerful. But I really want to play with the idea for you guys to start kind of being more aware of what's called direct microcurrent frequencies. And this is where direct frequencies are used at tissues in the body, and they're actually gentler than a TENS unit. If you guys are familiar with the TENS unit that you put the patches on, and it's yeah. So same thing. It's a machine that is super gentle, and it puts these gentle microcurrents through your body that hit you on a cellular level that actually increase the ATP within your body. They help to harmonize your cellular tissues at specific frequencies. So if it's set at the right frequencies, and it's usually 2 frequencies together, and if it's set at the right frequencies, it will be specific for, say, scar tissue, or specific for inflammation, or specific for muscle tissue, or specific for blood, or specific for inflammation. So they're very, very specific. You can't put the frequencies for inflammation on scar tissue and have it do anything. So this is a really cool kind of intricacy to it, that it's really like advanced knowledge for us, because it's really working with very, very, very subtle microcurrents or frequency bands. Okay. And at that minute level, how much effect it actually has on speeding recovery, on melt, or like kind of dissolving scar tissue out of bodies, out of helping people with nerve pain to completely be able to live pain-free in certain areas. And I'm not like making this stuff up. There's so many cases and so many stories of this. And this is actually something that I've been really excited to start integrating a little bit more, because it's available that we could even have it in our home if we wanted, if you only just wanted to use it for your family. So I just want to invite that, if that's something that you want to explore. But it also shows us how subtle our vocal cords are with what we intend, how subtle it is with what emotions we are, and what beauty that we're either putting into the world or what shadow we're putting into the world. So I just want to kind of share that information with you guys in order to give you another layer of understanding of different ways that you can really be aware of every thought, feeling, emotion, and action that you have. That really all of this Galactic science is just for us to just have a deeper level of higher mind within us, so that as we go through our day, we trust our feeling sense more and more, so that we have that foundation to make the choices that are correct for us. And it just feels so good. So with so much honor, I love you so much. I'm just going to bring the sacred circle to a close. I'm so excited to get to share this with you with so much love as we bring it to a close, and so it is.